Hello, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Joey, and if you're new here, I am a freelancer, a mama, and a wife. This only looks as produced as it does because it is currently 6:30 in the morning, and it's my only shot at doing any kind of actual recording. This is something I've been wanting to do for a while. I haven't let myself do it because of fear. And you guys are gonna come on a journey with me as we just ditch fear, because you probably have things that you wanna get done or things that you've been dreaming of accomplishing, but you won't let yourself do them for whatever reason. You have an inferiority complex, or people in your past have told you that you can't do those things, and I'm here to tell you, yes, you can. But while I'm telling you, I'm also telling myself. If you can't hear, that's my cat freaking out in the background, and we're just gonna get rolling. So today's video is all about small changes that you can do right now, like right now, today, that can have an enormous impact on your life. Some of these are going to seem kind of like, nah, but let me guess, you probably haven't actually implemented them. You may know they're a good idea, but you haven't actually implemented them because why? And I'm gonna share with you a quote that I have had like on loop in my head for the last several weeks, and it's nothing changes if nothing changes. So while you might have this idea in your mind of like wanting to transform your life, you might be stuck in a place right now that doesn't feel super great. You may have this awareness that you are destined for something better, or maybe honestly you just feel a little bored and want to shake things up a little bit, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is never going to happen for me, and you're just sitting around waiting for this big impressive change to come swooping into your life. And as someone who had enormous change swoop into their lives earlier this year, that's really fun and very exciting. It's not the norm. It is not the norm. It is not normal to have your entire life flipped on its ear overnight. If you want change, you have to make change. So here are a few small changes you can make today to have an impact on your life. And for the record, these are all things that I've implemented in like the last 6-ish months. So they're tried, true, tested, proven to make a big impact on your life. The first thing, which again, might seem super obvious, do not charge your phone next to your bed. If you could get even braver with things, take your phone and charge it in a different room. If you can. I know some people can't. I'm certain that there are many situations too, especially now that we don't all have landlines. Does anyone remember a landline? Am I too old? But because you don't have a landline, I completely understand if you're not comfortable taking your phone out of your bedroom. But if you can, I would advise it, even especially like if you have a partner sleeping in the bed next to you and they have their phone nearby. If you are someone like me who gets in this habit of the doom scroll right before bed, not ideal, not great for the mental health, not great for the sleep. Take your phone, charge it somewhere else. I actually charge mine on my dresser across the room, but here's the other part of that. As someone who really wanted to wake up early, I'm not telling you you need to wake up early. We'll get into that here in a minute, but I am somebody that just thrives in early morning. That's my protected time. It's my me time. I really wanted to get back into the habit of consistently waking up very early, and I was letting myself down by not letting that happen. I was getting lazy. I was hitting snooze. Sometimes I was even hitting snooze without even realizing that I was hitting snooze, which is so unlike me. Anyone that actually knows me in real life, probably hearing that is like, wait, what? I don't snooze. I never used to snooze until I became a parent. And then, you know. So anyway, having the phone across the room acted as an additional barrier that when the alarm goes off, I have to get up physically and move across the room. And in that moment, I have to consciously make the decision to disappoint myself and go get back in bed. And so in those, 10, 15 seconds that I'm walking across the room, I'm able to convince myself that like, no, this is what you want. Stay awake, go get your coffee, go enjoy your me time. If you can, even better, ditch the phone altogether. Don't have your alarm on your phone and get an old-fashioned alarm. I can still, in the back of my mind, hear, you know exactly what I'm talking about if you were like a 90s, like growing up in the 90s kid, not born in the 90s, growing up in the 90s kid. There's a very specific, there's two. One is like a sound and one was a beeping sound, both of which, like if you had an alarm clock growing up, that was the sound, and it haunts my dreams. My alarm in high school used to go off at 4:50 in the morning, but my clock was 20 minutes fast. And it didn't occur to me until just recently. I was waking up at 4:30 in the morning in high school because I'm that insane. Okay, remember I was like, hey, you don't have to wake up early. I'm not telling you to do that. This part, this change, this tiny little change relates to that. So you will see all over the internet, people telling you, wake up early if you want to change your life. And you know what? Good for those people that want to wake up early. I am part of the 5 a.m. club. That's why I'm filming a video at 6:30 in the morning, because I have dreams I want to chase, and this is the time I have to do it because my kid is still sleeping. That being said, I function great in the morning. I function fantastic in the morning. I get my little coffee, I go and scroll on the internet in my bed with the cozy heating pad. That's my element. I love that. Do all the things that make you feel like a fresh human being. I love that. The hours in the morning are my stolen hours. Nobody needs anything from me. No one's emailing me, no one's calling me, no one's running down the hallway screaming, Dad, Dad, when really they mean Mama, because they don't call me Mama yet. It's totally fine. My mornings are my me time. That being said, I do not function well after 8:30 p.m. If you on the internet right now told me that in order to chase my dreams, I had to stay up until midnight every night, or I had to, work at 2 o'clock in the morning, that sets me up immediately for failure. So the tiny change that you can make to have a huge impact on your life is recognize your natural rhythm and lean into that. Honor that. If you function better in the mornings, give yourself a few hours in the mornings to get the things that you want to do done. If you function better in the evenings, good for you. Once the world is asleep, turn the TV off. That's the trick. Turn the TV off. I think with the evening night owls, what happens is they get stuck in the after work relaxing mode and forget to switch into like, oh, I have dreams that I'm trying to chase and need to like actually do those things. It's easier, I think, in the mornings because things are a little bit more structured. So yes, lean into your natural rhythm. Find out, are you a morning person? Are you an evening person? If you don't know, test them out. See which works better for you. You will feel it in your soul. Like when you are in your natural rhythm, it'll feel good. It may not be easy, but it will feel good. Okay, next up, we have commit to the follow through. Again, seems very simple, but I guarantee you we all abandon the follow through. What I mean by this is seriously simple, minute details that will make an enormous impact on your life. I'm talking so much as like when you put toothpaste on your toothbrush and you put the toothpaste down on your counter, brush your teeth, you put your toothpaste or toothbrush back down and you walk away. No. When you take that toothpaste and you put it on your toothbrush, put it back in the drawer where it belongs. When you're done with the cup, don't go and walk it next. If you're like me, I used to be very guilty of this. I would take the cup and put it not in the sink. No, because that would be way too simple. I put it next to the sink as if I was actually recognizing that like, hey, I'm not following this task all the way through. And instead of putting it in the sink, which even that isn't the follow through because we are a dishwasher family. Now I take the dish, I put it immediately in the dishwasher. These are tiny little things. It's completing the task. Follow it through. If you take out the trash, immediately come back in and put the bag back in the trash can. Because let me tell you, there is nothing more frustrating than having a screaming toddler at your feet, the dog's whining for dinner, and you have your hands full and you go to throw something away and there's no bag in the trash can. That's annoying. So stop annoying yourself by not completing and not being committed to the follow through. Follow things through to the end. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, when you're doing something, ask yourself, is this the final resting place of this thing? Is this task complete at this moment? If it's not, take the extra few seconds and just finish the task. I promise that tiny little decision will have such an impact. It compiles, right? You have compounding habits that are going to actually start to stack up on each other and make your life a lot easier and set yourself up for more success. Okay, along the same lines, the next thing that you can do is think about doing your future self a favor. So if you have a busy morning, for instance, we just had an enormously busy day yesterday and I was so tired the night before, but I knew how busy the next morning was going to be. I literally put a timer on. It took me less than 10 minutes to get everything set up for the next morning for such a successful morning. All I wanted to do was go to bed. That's all I wanted to do was go to bed. But let's be real, I would have wasted 7 minutes just doom scrolling on my phone. And instead I gave myself the gift of a seamless morning by setting myself up for success. So in any way you can think of to like give your future self a gift, right? Like think about it this way. And I had my perspective shifted on this because I am the kind of person that I will do anything. I will do anything for anyone else to make their life easier, to relieve them of some kind of burden, to make them feel loved and appreciated or supported or whatever. And I never, ever, ever gave myself that same courtesy. And I had a therapist years ago shift my perspective on that, because shouldn't you be the most important person in your life? I know we don't like to think that because we don't like to lean into selfishness, because if you're like me, you were raised to like serve others and never, ever, ever pay attention to yourself, which is probably why we're all in therapy now. But let's treat ourselves like we're kind of important to ourselves. I think that's okay. I think we're allowed to like take care of ourselves. So yeah, if you're like me and just will do everything and anything for other people, but would never do the same for yourself, give yourself these little gifts. Right? Like the thing that I do every single night that is an absolute gift to my future self. And I think about my future self while I'm doing it, which might be a little bit weird, but it works, right? I always set the coffee pot the night before. Always. I always set the coffee pot the night before. I can tell you in the last 11 years, there's been maybe 3 times. 3? That's 3. 3 times that I've forgotten to do it. I mean, I could come home from the bars when I was in my early 20s raging drunk and I would still set the coffee pot the night before. It's my favorite thing. When I'm telling you, when I wake up, the alarm goes off, I do not pass go. I do not collect $200. I don't go to the bathroom. I immediately stumble from my bed to the coffee pot. And my current self has a lot of appreciation for my past self, giving myself the gift of a beautiful cup of coffee first thing in the morning. Now, you may not drink coffee, you may not have a coffee pot that you can set from the night before, but find at least one thing that you can give yourself the gift of a favor, right? Of taking care of yourself, of a little nod, a little wink to your future self and being like, hey, I got you. You're important. You get to have a very good day. Just trust me, it's something super small. It doesn't have to be a cup of coffee, but just find something super small that will set yourself up for success in the future. The perspective shift you might need, and this goes back to the follow through. When you're going through your motions throughout your day, which most of us are, right? Where most of us are just going through the motions. We are just trying to survive. When you're going through your motions, have some cognitive thought, right? Be aware of what you're doing and how you're affecting and impacting yourself. The same way that you are probably super self-aware. You are probably super self-aware about how your behaviors and actions and the things that you're doing are going to affect all of the people around you, because we all are super, super hyper aware of making sure that everybody else in the room is comfortable. Have some awareness for yourself, right? Like have some awareness of the things that you could be doing right now that are gonna help that future version of yourself out, instead of literally sabotaging them. Don't sabotage your future self. Don't do something in the moment right now that's gonna piss off your future self. I cannot tell you how many times I walked into a room and found that I left something half done, and I'm like, what the hell was I thinking? If I didn't have the time in that moment, what made me think I was gonna have the time when it's that wonderful segment of time from 3:30 to bedtime is just complete mayhem, right? It is complete mayhem in my house. I don't know why. I only have 1 kid. I have 2 dogs and a cat, but I only have 1 kid, but I also have a football coaching husband, so I'm alone in those hours, right? And everything needs to get done all in that moment. The kid is melting down, the dogs need things from you. Why did 2:30 version of Joey think, oh, you know what? 5 o'clock Joey is gonna definitely have time for this. Don't do that to yourself. Don't do that to yourself. Don't sabotage yourself. Be consistently aware of how you can relieve the burden and pressure of your future self. I promise it'll make such a big difference. Okay, this one might be controversial, and you might look at me and be like, Joey, I am not gonna do that. And you know what? You do you. But the one change that I can tell you has made the biggest difference in my life in the last, I've had this feature set on for the last 5 years probably. Turn read receipts on your phone. Again, if you're like me, I'm the kind of person that I will constantly put my needs last and everybody else's needs first. And so technology and I did not have a very good relationship, because at any given moment, someone can call you or text you or email you, right? And suddenly me, they are just ambushing their way into your moment. You could be doing something important, anything important, but that text message comes through and you immediately feel like you have to give that your attention, right? So there were two things that were happening for me with technology. One, I was feeling like I had to immediately give that thing my attention and that the person was just like sitting there waiting with bated breath. And then there's that like spiral of like, oh my God, if I don't respond right away, they're gonna think I'm ignoring them. And then this whole story gets spun out of control because I have a very active imagination. This is not a surprise to you. The other thing that would happen is I would open the text message because, you know, you're doing 100 things, but you're like, oh my God, I have to open this text message and see what's going on right now. And you read it and mentally respond and then don't respond. And so you go to bed at night and your brain is spiraling because it's what our brains do, right? And you remember, oh my God, I never responded to that text message. And so now instead of falling asleep, your cortisol is all high, you jump out of bed, you grab your phone, you start texting this person back, and now you're having a conversation at 12 o'clock at night when all you want to do is go to bed. Turn read receipts on your phone and you eliminate all of that. Because what it's done for me is it has taken the pressure off myself to give a text message there were like attention the second it comes through. I had to really learn that a person can call or text you at any given moment in the day, and that is okay, and that's their prerogative. Just by them doing that does not obligate you to give it your attention in that moment if you don't have attention to give it. So what that would allow me then to do is if a text came through, it immediately let me off the hook, right? I have now implemented this boundary in place where if I don't have the time in that moment to give a text message my full and undivided attention and have the moment to like respond to this text message, I don't open it. I don't open it. And because I don't open it, it then also sends the person the message, not like literally sends them the message, but they're able to, it conveys, right? That if someone is looking at this and like, oh my God, why hasn't Joey responded to me? I texted her like 3 hours ago, and they go back to the text, they can see it hasn't been read. I'm not ignoring them. I haven't given it my attention yet. And people in my life know that I have this boundary in place, and it really helps me out. And I have to tell you, I've had so many friends implement the same boundary, and it's absolutely amazing. And now I know some of you are gonna be like, oh my God, what if it's an emergency? Or what if this, what if that? First of all, if it's an emergency, they're not texting me, they're calling me. They're calling me. The other thing with that is I have a smartwatch that I can see the preview of the message and see that, okay, this is somebody asking me about my latte recipe. They don't need my attention right now. This does not require me to drive off the side of the road while I'm trying to text and drive with my toddler in the backseat to give someone my latte recipe. This can wait. And the person that's texting me knows it will wait because I haven't opened the text message. Turn read receipts on your phone. I promise you will come back to these comments and thank me for that. Along those same lines, this also may be controversial, turn off notifications. Turn off all notifications on all social media platforms, on email, turn off notifications. The only notifications that I allow to come through on my phone are text messages and phone calls. There are no other notifications on my phone. That's not true. I have Instacart notifications because they always have substitutions and I need to know that. But honestly, I do not have notifications for my email. I don't even have certain email accounts on my phone. Like work email accounts, my freelance accounts, they are not on my phone. When I'm at my computer, that's when I'm working. I am not working when I'm not at my computer. These are boundaries that I just had to put into place for myself because I have driven myself into the ground in the past, working so hard, spinning my wheels, and it created burnout. And none of us can produce anything beautiful from burnout. I promise you, you will have nothing left to give. Turn off all notifications. You don't need to be inundated with all of that information. Our brains can only compute so much information at one time. And if you have goals to chase or you are just feeling completely bogged down, and the way that I used to describe it is like my brain felt foggy, like fuzzy. I couldn't think clear thoughts. It's because we're constantly just filtering all this information. And then forget the fact that all these notifications are coming in. Now we're scrolling all the time, every day. Think about how much you consume in a day and then wonder why your brain is foggy. Turn notifications off. You can log into your app. You could pull up TikTok and see that you have 47 new comments. That's great. That's really exciting. I don't need to see those 47 comments popping up on my phone, stopping me every 5 seconds from things that I'm doing. I have a toddler. I already have something interrupting me every 30 seconds. Turn all notifications off on your phone. You don't need them. You do not need them. You don't need the validation. You don't need that dopamine hit. Turn them off. I promise. You won't regret it. You'll think you don't want to. It's like the read receipt thing. You will think you don't want to do this. You're looking at me right now like, girl, I ain't doing that. I promise you, if you try it for a day, it'll change your life. Okay. This last change is more of an internal shift than a physical change that you can make, but I promise again, it'll make all the difference in the world. Such a small thing, big, big impact. Choose to see everything, whether it's true or not, choose to see everything with compassion. Guy cuts you off in traffic, maybe he really has to poop. You are in the grocery store and someone's rude, maybe they just found out some really bad information and they're processing that. You don't know their story. They could be an absolute dick, I don't know. But you feel better if you choose to see it with compassion. We get nothing out of having other people, all of these external factors impacting our internal state, right? Like we can't control how other people treat us. All we can do is control how we choose to see the world and choose to see those situations. And your internal peace should be the most important thing to you, because protecting your internal peace allows you to show up the best way you can throughout your day, show up the best way you can for the people that you love and cherish. The last thing I want to do is have some guy at a grocery store piss me off enough that now I'm snapping at my toddler. I don't want to do that. My internal peace is important to me, and it should be important to you too. So the last thing I'm going to leave you with is just choose to see everything you can with compassion. Even if, like, sometimes I tell myself a story that makes me chuckle a little bit, where I'm like, oh my gosh, they have like explosive diarrhea. They really needed to get in front of me, and he didn't have the wherewithal to wave for letting him over in traffic because he is just so white knuckled on that steering wheel trying to get to a toilet. He could be a jerk. I don't know. I don't care. The story I tell myself is what matters, and he gets where he needs to go, and I don't let it impact my entire day. Thank you guys so much for watching. You will see videos like this from me here and there. I will still be doing vlogs where you get to see the behind the scenes of book writing and cooking and all that kind of stuff, but this makes me really happy and I wanted to do this. So if you liked it, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment below, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.